Mr. Chairman, and thank you, I want to say, to our witness for giving me the time. Had a chance to visit last week, and as we discussed during that time, I think we can all agree that the 2018 NDS, with its emphasis on great power competition, as we discussed in my office, accurately assesses the current strategic environment, and the Army will continue to play a major role in this environment. Now, back in 2014, the Defense Review of that year, it recommended cutting the size of the Army based on the lack of threat from Russia. Now, the first mention of Russia in that document says the U.S. is willing to undertake security cooperation with Russia. Well, times have changed, and the situation has changed, and I would ask you a two-part question. One, as logistics become more contested, including cyber threats, do you think that those assumptions should be changed today? And has the evolved threat from Russia changed your thinking on what kind of Army the nation needs?
Thank you, Senator Inhofe. I'll take the second question first, if I may. You're absolutely right. Circumstances have changed with Russia. I think we see, I think of Russia as being a rogue nation that is something of a risk taker with Vladimir Putin at the head. And I think we need to be very mindful of the challenges that Russia poses. It is one of the few nations that poses an existential threat to the United States. And I think, as we've seen recently in its aggressive behavior right at Ukraine's border, that this is something we need to watch very carefully. And I think there's very much a role for the Army in particular in Europe to provide a strong deterrent to make Russia think twice about any kind of aggressive action against NATO, for example. So I support the forward headquarters of 5th Corps, for example, in Poland. Would like to keep working through the European Deterrence Initiative to further strengthen our posture vis-a-vis Russia. And to your point on contested logistics, I think it's fair to say there is a much greater appreciation today than there was in 2014 for the possibility of the challenges associated with projecting power from what I would call a disrupted homeland. So logistics, and that's one of the reasons there's a joint concept underway for contested logistics. I think we would want to carefully examine assumptions around logistics in the ongoing strategy review.
Well, great response. I appreciate that. The other area, there have been a lot of changes. In 2018, the Army leadership identified 6 essential modernization priorities, and since then, the Army has realigned over $35 billion to fund these modernization priorities. Now, there have been a lot of changes, but I'd ask the question now, based on the 2018 NDS, do you agree that the Army's assessment that long-range precision fires is still the top modernization priority?
Senator, I'm pretty comfortable with that assessment. I think the long-range precision fires portfolio is a very important one in the Army's overall modernization program, and is particularly important in the Indo-Pacific, although it's also relevant vis-a-vis Russia as well.
Very good. Thank you.